The next presenter is Dr. Janaina Costa.
Vai me avisar 5 minutos?
5:02, tá?
Ah, legal. So, hello everyone. My name is Janaina Costa, but I go by Jana. I guess it's easier for you. So, I will explain to you a little bit about my research focus regarding user-centered design for product and product service system development. So, just a little bit about my background. It's in business and account, but my master's degree and my PhD is regarding product development process management. And then I spent a couple of years at MIT as a researcher associate, working more deeply with healthcare system improvement and lean product development. But I love Brazil, and my dream was always come back to Brazil. And I was so lucky to get a position in the capital of the technology here in Brazil, in São Carlos, that I must tell you that is the most beautiful city here in Brazil. And more glad than having the job position there, I was very lucky because I could come back to work with Professor Henrique Rosenfeld, who was my advisor during my master and my PhD. So when I got the position, I also told my committee that I would start a product ergonomics line there. So that's what I'm doing. I tried to apply ergonomics, mostly using user-centered design into product and product service system development, but mostly taking a business process management perspective to apply this technology, this knowledge into that process. So I will talk a little bit more about what I'm doing, what are my main focus on user-centered design. I believe that applying user-centered design technology, theory, methods for software projects are somehow, like done with that job. They know how to apply. But we who work with hardware products, we don't have, all that knowledge. It's much easier to involve users during a software development than in a hardware development. We have most of our publications towards software, not towards hardware. So I believe that we have a huge area working with hardware development using UCD theories. And how I believe that we need to do that? We need to understand the main elements of how we can create a framework for using this theory into product development. And for that, we need to understand some kind of basic knowledges that we must to dominate in order to apply that. And then we need to have methods, practices that can support that framework, and we need to test, and we need to do our job, testing applications. So these are the students who are working with me. Most of them are undergrad students. I must tell you that we are very fortunate here in Brazil to have undergrad working intensively in our projects, as well as master students. So I have 4 master students that are working very intensively in their projects with me, and 1 PhD student. So this PhD student here, Karina, she is a designer. Her research is focused on understanding how we can integrate the artifacts produced by designers, marketing people, ergonomic, human factor people into product development. So how product engineers use that knowledge. We need to create the interface. We need to create good artifact communication so we can indeed use the knowledge one another produce. And I believe that one thing that we need to deeply understand in hardware development is how, and how should we do user involvement? So user involvement for hardware must take a look in what kind of users we are dealing with. So according to the type of users, we are going to use different practices, different methodologies, different techniques to involve that users into the product development process. So I have some people studying how we could create this user typology, and I will not show all of the researches, of course, but we have also here, so let me take here, some students working very hard to understand how we could use appropriate heuristics, not for software development, because the heuristics for software development doesn't work for hardware. So how could we create heuristics to apply in prototype testing that will indeed validate the customer's needs and requirements and so forth. So here in Brazil, this year was approved a requirement, like an ISO, for medical equipment, electronic equipment for medical area, that they must provide usability tests for getting the FDA, the Brazilian FDA. But how can we apply these techniques for hardware if all these techniques were made for software? So we need to understand that, and we are starting a project with people from Minas Gerais and a very nice professor in Canada to apply these techniques to these areas. So how I am? 3 minutes. Okay. So, if you are interested in some other of these projects, just come to talk to me. Anyway, so teaching areas. I teach project management and ergonomics for undergrad courses. I like to do a very PBL approach, and I like to put the student in the center of my methodology approach. And using these undergrad courses, we can do a lot of experiments applying the UCD techniques. So just for an example, every semester I have 60 students performing some of the UCD methods or practices that we are validating for hardware. And these are engineers, so we can validate in hardware projects. For grad courses, I teach product development theory, product development improvement, together with Professor Henrique Rosenfeld. So I'm very lucky to have Professor Henrique and Professor Daniel Amaral also doing these grad courses together. Some industry collaborations, like Henrique have done mostly more industry collaboration than I, but because we are in the same group, we take advantage of all of the collaborations together. But this here are what I'm doing using UCD methods. So in these 3 here, we are definitely applying UCD. Regarding publications, as you know here, I was hired only 2 years ago at University of São Paulo to work with UCD. So I don't have too many publications on UCD, but I have more publications regarding product development and business process management. And now we are getting some publications regarding UCD. So thank you very much for making that happen, by the way. And that's it.